Well, welcome to the show. This is our view from the bench. Well, welcome to the show. I'm Brendan, main video coordinator for my nephew's soccer team.
And I'm Corey, the bunker maintenance man at the local golf course. And happy Monday.
Happy Monday, man. We made it through the weekend, and we're back to the week.
Yeah, start it all over again. That's what we do.
That's okay. It's okay. Hey, that just means another day to live, my friend.
Absolutely.
How was your weekend?
Good. You know, I actually got to enjoy a Sunday off, which is
nice. No
normal
work
for me this time of year. So I actually
saw
got
some
to watch
football.
Some football. Yes, it was really nice.
Did you get to see your Titans?
Dude,
Sheesh.
We'll go into it, but I'm so confused with them right now.
It's crazy here.
But yeah, and then let's see. Saturday, I worked. What did I work? Oh, the Bert Kreischer concert or comedy show.
Yeah, dude.
And actually, I have just like one small story about it. Actually,
okay.
I got to actually meet him myself. He and a couple guys came into the store to buy some stuff after the store had closed, but before the arena opened to like the public for his event. So then. The person who had escorted them up there said they had to go to a meeting and couldn't wait, so they asked me to escort them back to their bus. So when they were done shopping, I actually walked Bert and a couple of his buddies back down to the tour bus and then like wished them good luck and have a good show and kind of let them go. But it was just kind of like, whoa,
nice,
it was
bro.
cool to see him in the store, but then like just talking with him and walking
He's
down
nice.
with him was, dude, he was super chill, man. He just like, I know he's loud and obnoxious on stage, but like he was just like talking and chilling with his buddies, and I was just kind of walking with him. I was like, yeah, this guy seems like super chill, man. Like,
well,
it just makes you feel good because, yeah, well, of course, but like, never know. Some people are dicks.
True.
He seemed just like totally normal and funny and just like chill as hell. So I was excited to just like hang out with him for a few minutes.
Sweet, dude. That's pretty cool. So,
but what was your weekend, dude?
Quiet, man. Rocky was busy working all weekend, so just kind of chilled. Hung out with the dogs, did a couple things. It rained here on Saturday, so that was pretty much a day in. Sunday, though, I hung out with some friends, went out to Yard House and saw some football. Got to watch the Chargers-Raiders game is what we were there for a little bit, and just come back home to relax, man. Other than that, there's another week of football, another night of football tonight.
Heck yeah.
Did you catch any of Monday Night Football this week?
Yes, I did. I actually got home a little earlier than normal, so I was able to watch I think the second half of the second quarter and then the whole rest of it from there. So all there is to say is Seattle defense is looking like Legion Boom again. Like, dude, some of these guys, I think it's
2.0, huh?
Devon Witherspoon or Witherspoon.
Guy.
Mm-hmm. Man, talk about a defensive lockdown player. He had a great night.
Rookie, by the way, just got drafted out of Illinois. Yeah, dude's insane. Pete Carroll saw something, and obviously Pete Carroll does know what he's talking about with defense, so apparently that's paying off pretty well. But the whole team looked good. Bobby Wagner looked like the Bobby Wagner before he went to the Rams, the last time he was on the Seahawks.
Yep.
He did great, just lighting up the field. Obviously, the Giants got nothing. They got 3 points. They were on the cusp. They were 3 yards or so away from actually going down either 3 or 4, depending on whether or not they went for the point after touchdown. Yeah. But that's when Mr. Witherspoon's pick kind of came up, 97-yard pick six, all the way back to the house. And from that point on, I mean, a little bit before that, but from that point on, the game was over.
Yeah, and like you said, the Giants, I mean, okay, it's weird. When you look at the numbers of what Daniel Jones did tonight, 27 to 34, you're like, okay, he probably had a pretty good night. They just didn't, convert a lot. But he only had 200 yards, but he had 2 interceptions and no TDs. But we talked about the Seattle defense dominated. They had 10 sacks on Daniel Jones alone of the 11 they had in the game.
Gosh.
So how much is it to blame on Daniel Jones and how much is it to blame on the offensive line? Because if you go 27 to 34, but you get sacked 10 times, that's mostly that you don't have any time to throw the ball because the other times you did, you were really, your completion percentage was really high.
Yeah, 27 to 34 is only 7 incompletions. 2 of them went to the other team. So he really only threw 5 incompletions the entire night. I mean, granted, the 2 are bad, especially when the other team. But I'm talking about just regular, nobody could catch it. That's not that bad. The problem is all of them are for 3 yards, 4 yards, 8 yards, 12 yards. He doesn't even have time to get receivers past the first down yard marker before he's already in trouble with pressure. Hence the 10 sacks. So one of the picks that he threw was his fault. According to Aikman, who kind of broke it down for everybody, the 97-yard interception for a touchdown, guy was supposed to run an in route. He thought he was running an out route, threw it out. Guy ran in. That was that. The other one was, in my opinion, poor wide receiver route running and just no time in the pocket. When he actually did have time, he made some completions. Unfortunately, it only mattered to 3 points, but sheesh, what a game.
Yeah, I just feel bad for the Giants because they gave him all that money, and then, the whole Saquon thing throughout the offseason with the franchise tag, and then if he comes back, gets hurt. So now it's back to just Daniel Jones on his own, and as we can see, there's no offensive line in front of him, he has no opportunity, which the New York fans are just going to take it as Daniel Jones isn't good and they need to move on. But they just gave him a 5-year deal, so...
Now, that may still be true, that Daniel Jones isn't good and they need to move on. But I don't know if he's getting a fair shot. I feel like he is getting a fair shot in the sense of the amount of time he's been allotted. But I don't know. I mean, the biggest weapon that they have is Darren Waller. No offense to Darren Waller, but he's like a top 10 tight end. Tight end. I mean, how many tight ends are there even in the... Really, there's only like 2 tight ends that really catch passes. Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. Other than that, that's not necessarily a weapon. Now, Darren Waller's really good. That's not me putting him down. I'm just saying, get him something other besides broken Saquon and honestly broken Darren. Last year, he only played like 8 games because he was hurt for the others. So, I don't know. And get him an O-line. Give him some time. I know people would also say, well, Joe Burrow's first healthy year, not his, obviously, where he tore his ACL, but his first healthy year, he led him to the Super Bowl behind a mediocre or subpar offensive line. So if you're talented, you should be able to shine through. Yeah, well, he also had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, and Samaje Perine coming out of the backfield. Now, when Saquon's there, we can see actually that Daniel Jones does a little bit better. So I just say give him some time. I don't think the time that they should have allotted was 5 years. I think they should have given him the franchise tag. But again, I'm not in that business. So
very true. Very true.
There were other games this weekend. We had obviously the Sunday games. The Thursday game we cover on Thursday. We had an episode this week on Thursday, so go check that out for a rundown of the Lions-Packers. But we also have the other Sunday. It's time for the, I don't know what we're going to call it yet, but our Sunday rundown. Trevor Lawrence and his blokes head to London and take the cross-conference matchup against the Falcons, 23-7. Jags defense stepped up big in this one with 3 turnovers, including a pick six, as they are now perfectly aligned after the win in the 2-2 filled AFC South. The Falcons, also now 2-2, try to bounce back next week at home against the Texans. Dolphins get brought back down to earth quickly in Buffalo. Bills stay hot and take their 3rd straight by at least 28 and are now tied with Miami for the AFC East lead at 3-1. The Dolphins looked overwhelmed by the Buffalo defense, and the Bills defense stepped up in the second half to turn Miami over on 4 of 5 possessions. Tight race at the top of this division.
Bills starting to look like themselves again.
The battle of the worst. Who could worst? We learned that the Broncos almost doubled down on their thrashing from the week prior, but Russell Wilson led them back, throwing for 3 touchdowns as they mounted a huge comeback down 28-7 to take the win 31-28. Bears fans still not out of those woods. Did they steal one in Washington, or are they claiming their place in the Caleb Williams race? Ravens showed the Browns who really own the AFC North. Maybe easier to say that knowing the hometown rookie out of UCLA was making his first start for Cleveland. But nonetheless, it was a beatdown. Lamar hits Mark Andrews for both of his touchdowns as the Ravens defense grabs 3 picks off the rookie. Ravens take it 28-3. Bengals are officially done. They may pretend to make noise, but this will be like the Packers last year, making some valiant effort, all to fall short to some lame team, like the worst team in the division, just like the Packers did to the Lions. The Bengals play the Browns in Week 18, and will probably lose it and miss, and there goes my Super Bowl freaking bet.
Whoa. Can we give the Titans some credit for a big W instead of just saying the Bengals lost the game and suck? Okay, fine, I'll do it. The Titans have been struggling on offense, but King Henry showed up yesterday and did his thing. You saw him on his fantasy. Also became the 2nd leading rusher in team history, passing the great Earl Campbell in the W. Titans still have a chance in the AFC South.
Colts are officially the coin flip team. Some weeks they impress, others they let Puka Nacua run rampant for 163 yards and a touchdown, while Kyron Williams led the Rams with 103 yards and 2 scores on the ground. The game was close and another overtime game for Indy. This time they fall short. Anthony Richardson returns and throws 2 touchdowns while running in another. But Colts fall to Rams 29-23. A bettor at Caesars dropped $240,000 on the Saints to cover -3. Baker and the boys had other plans as he throws for 246 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Jameis' only throw was intercepted. Saints would have won this person $200,000. Instead, they lost that $240,000. Crazy to think that someone can throw that kind of money away. Bucks pillage Saints 26-9. More overtime fun in the NFL. Division rivals Eagles and Commanders facing off in Philly. Eagles took a 21-17 lead into the fourth quarter, but gave up the tie to force overtime. Jake Elliott drills a 54-yard field goal to take it 34-31.
Commanders continue to battle and have a chance in every game they play.
Vikings get their first win of the season, but it was a bit ugly. I get football is sometimes, but this team won 13 games last year, and we're 5 points away from losing to a team that picked first in the draft this year. Bryce Young was mediocre, but didn't turn the ball over. Carolina loses 21-13. Bryce and the Panthers, still seeking their first win, head to Detroit looking for it. Vikings host the reigning champs next week. CJ Stroud may have been the pick. He has played in all 4 games and has a total of over 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns with no interceptions. The Texans are surprising everyone by beating the Jags and the Steelers back-to-back weeks. Steelers offense did nothing as the passing and running games each barely eclipsed the 100-yard mark. Texans beat down Steelers 30-6.
Stroud is legit so far and can make the Texans a wild card team.
It's a race for second in the AFC West. Chargers hosting the Raiders at SoFi, and the game was more entertaining than any other game in this time slot, so it was bearable. Raiders start 4th-round rookie out of Purdue, Aiden O'Connell, and the Chargers front was ready to feast. Chargers grabbed 3 turnovers, all from O'Connell, to keep the Raiders' offense at bay. Josh Jacobs broke out finally as he served as the rookie's outlet, racking up 81 yards in the air and 58 on the ground. Chargers hold off Raiders 24-17. Guess who's back? Back again. Dallas is back in the driver's seat as they needed a good beatdown to shake off that loss in the desert last week to the Cardinals. The Patriots visit the Cowboys in Dallas, but it seems not many players actually showed up to play. Cowboys put the hurt on them, 38-3. Handed Bill Belichick the worst loss of his career, getting torched by 35.
Are we watching the final season of Bill Belichick's career?
This went as expected, and what we thought Dallas was going to do last week. Niners stick to their dominant ways and take 3rd straight over Arizona. McCaffrey burns the Cardinals for 177 total yards and 4 total touchdowns. Frisco looks as good as ever, roll to take 4-0 and take this game 35-16. Jets telling the Chiefs they need to calm down as they go toe-to-toe with the reigning champs, making Swifties understand the nerves that go into each football game, a feeling football fans know all too well. Seems the Chiefs players were enchanted by the fact that Taylor showed up again, as they let Zach Wilson and company stick in it and fight until the end. But was he ready for it? No. In the end, Mahomes and Maato took the win in style, 23-20. Mahomes says, "Don't blame me to bettors," as he slides short of a touchdown that would have covered the spread. No bad blood here, though. We only bet the money line.
Woo!
Nice.
Okay,
Sorry.
First thing, great review of the weekend. But second, God, I
you.
needed that Pat Mahomes slide in for a touchdown instead of a slide out to the front.
Yeah, it might help me too, specifically, seeing as I played you and you have him. It was a very close game, but alas, I took it. So, yeah, that would have helped. But it was actually a pretty good weekend. A lot of crazy stuff happened. A lot of teams we didn't think would win. A lot of teams we knew would won. But, yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, like I said, I got to watch a lot more football yesterday than I have all season so far on a Sunday, so it was nice to actually watch some good games.
A couple games that we wanted to review, some of those good games that you're referencing. We'd like to look a little bit deeper and just kind of talk about a little bit more. Maybe not the game specifically, maybe somebody in the game. We're going to start, though, with the Steelers just really kind of getting it taken to them by the Texans. They go to Houston and lose 30-6. CJ Stroud, man, what's he doing, dude? They're looking pretty legit.
Yeah, it's weird. Like they're in the division with the Titans, so I usually pay close attention to them just because. But man,
Mm-hmm.
Stroud has looked really good. Like you said, hasn't had an interception yet in 4 games, and as a rookie quarterback in the NFL, and going up against the Tomlin coached, Steeler defense,
True.
that's not easy to do.
Not with
I
the
don't
time
know.
TJ Watt gives you to throw the ball.
Absolutely. I'm just shocked that they're 2-2. I think that, if he can keep it up, he's gonna have a chance one at rookie of the year on the offensive side of the ball for sure.
Oh, yes, true.
And when we talk about their schedule in a minute, like you can see that they might actually have an opportunity to kind of be one of those sneaky teams that people don't, we talk about every year. There's 4 new teams in the playoffs that weren't in the year before, so anything can happen. But the Steelers looked terrible, as you said. I know Pickett left the game with a knee injury, and we'll have to get an update on that and see what the latest is with that later this week. But yeah, the Steelers just didn't look good. The Texans, the last 2 weeks, have looked really good on both sides of the ball. They're feeling confident. It's kind of weird, but yeah, the Texans are legit right now after the first quarter of the season.
It's weird to see. The Steelers, just the last bit on them before we kind of just move on because there wasn't much to talk about there. They only got, I think it was like 116 and 113 yards respectively passing and throwing.
Oh,
I mean, they barely hit the century mark. It's not like they hit in the hundreds and it was the high hundreds. No. They barely hit triple digits. It's more than just CJ Stroud. Apparently this defense is pretty good too. D'Amico Ryans might know a thing or two, huh?
yeah, absolutely. Came from San Francisco as a defensive coordinator there. He was a linebacker. He actually played for the Texans during his
Yep.
career. So, he knows what he's talking about. I think he actually played there with J.J. Watt because J.J. Watt was
Yes,
like
I
a
think you're right.
huge, like, excited for him to have the opportunity. And I wouldn't be shocked. I'm kind of surprised he already isn't, but I wouldn't be shocked if J.J. Watt at some point joins like his staff just as like a defensive lineman coach or something.
Ooh, I can
Maybe
see
he gets
that.
bored after a year or two of not being in the game and wants to be
Right?
involved just as a coach of some sort.
Yeah, just do like help pass rushers pass rush, run
Yeah,
block,
that's all you got
all
to do.
that kind of
You don't have
stuff.
to worry
Yeah,
about anything else.
not at all. Let's keep it with the Texans, though. You mentioned their schedule. We have it up on the board. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. If you're listening on one of the podcast formats, be sure to check us out on YouTube. You can see all the fun, pretty stuff we make and Corey's beautiful face.
Woo.
Just search Our View from the Bench. But on the screen, we have it. A little bit of information about CJ Stroud as well. He's completing 62.3% of his passes, so over 60%, which is a decent start. 1,212 yards, 6 touchdowns, and no picks. Now, one little caveat. The percentage isn't that great.
No.
62.3% is actually 25th in the league right now. It's even behind Justin Fields and Mac Jones.
Wow.
But I think the thing is that he's not making mistakes, as you can
Yes.
see with the 0 turnovers. So he might be missing, but he's missing maybe smart. Maybe he's throwing away the ball too much, which leads to obviously counts as an incompletion. I don't watch the games, obviously, so maybe I should start paying attention to the Texans and maybe I'll be able to help a little bit more with that. But I think it's more of that's how he's managing the game.
Yeah.
So I think he's doing a little bit better than we think.
Yeah, and like we talked about, D'Amico Ryans has the defense playing really well. So if as long as he doesn't turn the ball over on the offensive side, and they can let the defense get some breathers when they need, and then let the defense make some turnovers for them, give them the short field to work with, then at least they can get a field goal most possessions on the short field, and then you have an opportunity to win some games because that defense can be solid.
Opportunity is all they need. Corey and I took the opportunity to look through some of these games. We're not trying to be too adamant or too on their side and saying, oh, yeah, they're going to win this one, this one, this one. But we definitely went through and picked ones that we feel are more winnable, especially if it's based on current situation or injuries that are plaguing the other team even. And we went through and we kind of gave them a couple and try to figure out how the rest of their season would pan out. We think they actually have a chance to win another 9 or 10 just based on their schedule. They play a lot of mediocre to subpar teams, and the way that they're playing right now, even going to Jacksonville to win and dropping 30 on the Steelers defense, looks like they have what it takes as well.
Yeah, I think they got lucky. Obviously, the schedule, they get the NFC South, which is the only strange part, which I didn't notice this until now. They play all 4 of them in a row, which is bizarre. So they have Atlanta
Oh,
next.
wow. Yeah.
Then they host New Orleans. They have a bye week. Then they get at Carolina and then versus Tampa. That's so bizarre. They get all 4 of them in a row.
I don't know if I've ever seen that before. You just
Yeah,
play an entire division straight 4 week, but it's right in the middle of it is their bye week. How funny.
yeah, bizarre. But regardless, like Atlanta, they're just kind of okay, and New Orleans without Derek Carr not healthy, kind of eh. Carolina's rebuilding with a young Bryce Young. Tampa Bay's their defense is okay, but Baker Mayfield's an up and down. You never know. Cincinnati with Burrow, if he even plays by the time they see him. Arizona's not good. Denver's not that good. Like, there's a lot of teams they could easily have these opportunities to win. And the 2 games against the Titans, unfortunately, right now, I think they could split it and go 1-1 against each other at home.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's
they're
what I'm
right there
thinking.
at 9 or 10 wins, and maybe if Jacksonville doesn't get it together down the line, maybe they sneak in and get the actual AFC South title. But even with 9
It's
or 10
crazy.
wins, they could get a wild card in there.
Yeah, the AFC is pretty crowded, but 9 and 10 wins is a lot, especially if you hit that double-digit mark, the 10-win spot. That's a pretty good amount of wins. And looking around the AFC, there's a lot of teams that we thought might be included that aren't as much right now. Namely, Chargers, Jets, maybe some of them.
Jets
so
for sure.
There's a couple that we kind of included that we thought would be up there that may not by the end of the season. So, last stat though, before we move on. On the screen, you'll see there's a graphic. CJ Stroud has something in common with 5 other players that have played or currently play in the NFL. It's actually a pretty good stat. Well, the stats itself is good, but it's who he's related to. That's funny. Players to average 300 yards and 0 interceptions over their first career games. CJ Stroud and Corey, who are the other 5?
Dude, I can't even believe this list. This is crazy. It's in their first 4 games. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers. Like,
and now
all
CJ
5
Stroud.
For sure first ballot Hall of Famers at this moment, and now CJ Stroud is a part of that list.
That's pretty crazy. That's a great list to be a part of. That's for sure. And hopefully his success continues. Again, local kid from Rancho, so go CJ. Rooting for you, bud.
I can't root for him to win a lot of games, though.
I forgot the whole division
as long as he does good and they just don't win games. I mean, throw 80 touchdowns and then your defense give up another 100 touchdowns. Yay.
Perfect. The next game was that Jets game that we talked about.
Yeah.
Chiefs went to New York, snuck out the dub, didn't cover the spread, didn't get you a last-second touchdown, but did get the win.
Ugly game. Like, they were up 17-0 to get out. I just thought, okay, Kansas City's going to walk away. By the time the third quarter comes, they'll be up by like 30. Pat Mahomes will be sitting. So I'm like, please get a lot of points early for fantasy for me. And then all of a sudden, it's like the Jets figured something out on defense and the
offense.
I don't know. But Mahomes and them just lost it. I don't know what was going on that side of the ball. And then, like you talked about, the offense, Zach Wilson finally figured something out and didn't look like, he's not going to be an all-pro or anything, but he definitely looked more serviceable and looked like he knew what he was doing and had some confidence out there and was able to at least get him back in the game. Although the safety was kind of a weird way for them to get the first couple points on the board and get started. But when you're the Jets, you take any momentum shift you can get at that point and take an opportunity with it, and they did. Ultimately fell short.
Yeah. He actually did look pretty good. Until the end. I know he puts a lot of the blame on himself, but it is a team game. The defense kept them in it, holding the reigning champs to only 23 points. Patrick Mahomes looked completely confused after they took that 17-0 lead. Couple picks to the same linebacker, just creeping in where he thinks he's throwing it to Kelsey, but nope, not there. It's just kind of weird to see. I don't know if they just hadn't shown that before and it's something he hadn't seen in film, because watching quarterback, I know that he's constantly looking at that. So it must have been something a look that he hasn't seen. It's definitely weird to see.
Maybe maybe Eric Bieniemy not being there is showing some effect, because they talked about
maybe it wasn't all.
Maybe because they talked about when he went to Washington how he was so demanding and all of the details, and now that he's not in Kansas City, maybe they're slipping on some of those things that Bieniemy was in charge of doing. I don't know. I'm just saying it could be.
You
something
could be right.
To look into as the year goes on, because Kansas City has struggled offensively. They have not looked good most of the year at this point. So I think just Chicago, but Chicago's terrible, so that I get why you looked good against them. But
Yeah, the
They
Broncos looked
looked
good against Chicago, so that's not
exactly,
saying
but
much to your point.
yeah, Mahomes and them looked bad against the Lions opening night. They scored only 23 against this. I mean, they also only scored 17 against the Jags a couple weeks ago. They have not looked good and don't look like the defending champs right now. But it's
No.
also, you know what? It's early in the year. It's only 4 weeks in, so things
And
can
they're still
change.
3-1 and
Yeah,
lead the division. So,
exactly.
yep. Back to Zach. I think he looked good for the most part. He only blew it, but I do feel bad for the kid. I really kind of wish that he was able to maybe learn more from A-Rod, or I don't know. The score was this close, but it also wasn't this close because of that Mahomes thing. They kind of probably should have won by 10, but I don't know. Chiefs, as always, they look good, at least good enough to get it done.
Yeah.
But that defense did kind of, like I said, put Pat on skates a couple times. He just looked a little bit out of it. Sauce Gardner just everywhere on the field, making him think twice, I guess. But
Dude, you know what?
after they stumbled, they won 3 straight.
I think he's trying to do too much for Taylor Swift. I think he's trying to show off too much the last couple weeks. He needs to calm down. Just play football, man.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. It's weird to not have a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown, but of course it would happen the week that I freaking bet for him to get an anytime touchdown. Son of a freaking A, dude. I honestly, I told Art, I think I told you, I
Yeah.
am pausing until like week 8. I need to take a break because
Yep.
all I'm doing is just losing. So
Yeah,
it's
you
just
told me
bad.
yesterday, you're like, I'm taking a break. I'm like, from what? What happened? You're like, I can't bet anymore. Everything I keep
I
doing
mean,
is
besides our
losing.
thing,
Yeah.
but no, no more on the side. I'm just losing my hair and my money and my mind. Last game. Oh, yeah. So what do they do? So what do they do now though? Because the Jets are still apparently the Jets defense now. Maybe they're less mad after this week. But what do they I mean, there's no other options out there, are there?
That's the problem. There's nothing else out there. If the Vikings would have lost and gone to 0-4, maybe you could somehow convince them to give up Cousins. But we talked about it. Like I looked at all the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm like, no team's giving up any of those, or the Jets wouldn't be better off with that person. So
True. Yeah.
I don't know what there is to do. There's no free agents like the ones they've reached out to that are now retired guys like Matt Ryan and Chad Henne or whatever. Those guys are done. They don't want to come back out to do it. So I just like you said, now that Aaron Rodgers is back in the building and in the area, and not now that he's recovered from the surgery a little bit and he can be around the team again, maybe he can rub off a little bit on Zach in the quarterback room. But he's not on the field, man, and he's not in the helmet the whole game. He can only be in the helmet until the 15-second mark. So.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do.
Pray.
Salah,
Which is pretty much what Broncos fans did. Yeah. Because they were down bad to a team that everyone saw as the worst besides possibly them. But they snuck it out. My question basically is, what the hell is going on here? Because I can't believe this game was as crazy as it was.
Yeah. I don't even know where to begin. This game, when I first saw the score that the Bears were up early, I was like, okay, well, it's early, they're 14, whatever. Like things happen. It could have been easily turned around to 14-14 game. Then it's like, oh wow, they're up real big, and maybe they'll actually get a win. The Bears are going to win. The Broncos are really that bad, and then the Broncos mount this comeback, and it completely turns everything upside down. And now the Bears are 0-4. And Justin Fields, and it's not even necessarily his fault. The offense is mundane and looks just basic. I know there was Chase Claypool got asked about being used correctly. He said no. That was all he said. He didn't go into detail. He just said no. That's not a good sign. So they're trying to trade him before the deadline, get him out of the locker room. I mean, it's all falling apart. So if you're the Bears, whoever their president or GM is, it's time to clean house, man. The coach has got to go. Time to move on from Fields. At this point, take all the losses you can. You're 0-4. Continue losing. Get the Caleb Williams number 1 overall pick. I think that he would be more open to going to Chicago than he would to Arizona if that were the case. So,
which is weird because we have wins this season and they don't.
Exactly. That it is very strange. But the other part of it, though, too, if you're the Bears, now that you're 0-4, they made the trade last year with Carolina to get the number 1 pick so Carolina could take Bryce Young. So they have Carolina's first round pick, and they're also, I believe, 0-4.
Yes.
So they have the first and second overall pick in the draft next year at this moment. So if you're a Bears fan, you are rooting for Bears losses and Panthers losses, and then you can draft Caleb Williams at number 1 and either
Marvin
whoever
Harrison.
you want to go with him at number 2, Marvin Harrison Jr., or if you want to trade that and get multiple other picks and go back a pick, whatever. But you
Lineman.
have, get a lineman to protect him on his weak side, but you have the opportunity to make those decisions, but you get to start with Caleb Williams first. I even heard somebody say maybe you try to hire Lincoln Riley to be the coach in the Bears.
Holy
And
crap.
he coached him
I mean,
in
it doesn't
Oklahoma.
not make sense.
I mean, don't bring the defensive coordinator from the SC with you, but the rest of
God,
it
no.
would make sense. Like Caleb Williams and Lincoln
Wow.
Riley.
That's a great pick. I never thought about that. Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Nuts. That would be nuts.
I kind of wanted the Broncos to lose, and I actually am or used to be a Sean Payton fan, but again, maybe he had his TV hat on instead of his current coach's hat on. But I don't know. I was, like I said, when we talked about it on one of our way earlier episodes, I was on the Jets side when this whole little mini fiasco went down. So I kind of didn't want to see the Broncos lose. In fact, I believe next week is week 5 when the Jets are coming to town. I believe that was the week. So hopefully Zach Wilson can get a dub, because I think this is a team that he has an advantage over. What the heck is Russell going to do on this defense? Look what Patrick Mahomes just did.
Yeah,
Barely beat.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And if you're Zach Wilson and you do anything to lose that game to the Broncos, you are definitely done in New York. They are going to hate you so much. I mean, it doesn't mean it's right, but they are going to blame everything on you and say, especially if the defense has like a great day and it's like a low scoring game, 9-6,
like a 17-10.
I was going even lower than that. But yeah, if it's something like that, don't throw it away, man. Don't give up the game. Don't be the reason it happens.
It's going to be interesting to see, although we definitely wished it was A-Rod and they're going to go drop, maybe a Miami Dolphins on them again.
Yeah,
okay, maybe not 70, but I think that Aaron Rodgers would have definitely easily won that game, especially how we see the Broncos playing after their talk this offseason.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Keeping it with football, but moving a little bit off the field. We're going to talk about what we are armchair quarterbacks. I'm sorry to bring it up, Corey. I'm sorry.
It happened.
Okay, but that's just how it worked, and that's just what it did. So, talk about fantasy football.
Yeah.
We normally have 2 slides: the team that I have that plays, and the team that Corey has that plays. But this week we played each other. Here are the results. It was kind of close, 15 points, a lot better than what Corey beat Art by 100 plus last week.
Yeah.
So 15 is feasible and makes you sweat it. That Patrick Mahomes rushing touchdown, an extra 6 points would have helped you. That's for sure. And the fact that Jordan Addison rocked away with a fat goose egg is honestly extremely surprising. But I'm happy because Justin Jefferson obviously got the other 23.5 points for me. So that worked out in the end.
Yeah.
And Derrick Henry, although he helped you on the field for your team, he hurt you off the field for your fantasy team. Because
dude, he had a day. Every time I saw a Titan score, I was like, oh, was it Henry again? Did he get more to make it worse? Like, yay, we're winning, but damn it, it's not him, right? It's somebody else. Like,
That's a double whammy, huh? That's kind of like you're trying to be excited because you're looking at your team and you're like, yeah, we're beating the Bengals. All right, let's go. But at the same time, the person who's scoring is on my team who you're playing.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, could you have had Henry like on another team so I wouldn't have to do that this week and not have to deal with it? Damn it.
Yeah, those are my 2 big ones were Justin Jefferson and Derrick Henry. I did leave Devon Achane on the bench. That was bad for 30 points. And I also left 25 points. I also left Nico Collins on the bench for 33 points. But Jake Elliott, my 3rd star, kicker for the Eagles. Honestly, that 5-point field goal, well, I mean, it's worth 3 points in real life, but it was a 50-something yarder. So in overtime to seal it, that was the last player that I had for the day. So I just capped the game with a nice 5-pointer at the end. So kind of helped a little bit with the insurance.
Not my best. Mozart just didn't do anything with the Dolphins. I could have played Kamara, but that would have been 10 points. I still would have lost. But I didn't know how Kamara was going to be used the first game back after the suspension. I figured they'd like kind of ease him back in instead of going straight to him because he maybe not be ready physically for a game yet. But I was wrong. So he'll probably be in my starting lineup next week. But that doesn't help me now. And like you talked about, Addison just didn't show up. Puka Nacua came up huge. So thankfully,
huge for you.
That's the only reason I had a chance. I thought maybe Kenneth Walker would go off tonight. Started
Me
out
too.
good. I saw one big run, then he got tackled, so he didn't get the touchdown. I was like, like it could
Oh,
have
I
been.
saw that. Oh, I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah, that was like at least a 40-yarder run or
and I
30
have like a
yarder
little
for sure.
kicker.
I was
Yeah,
like,
I have a little extra kicker for the
man.
40-yard touchdown. So
So,
yeah,
but
so
at the end of the day, I'm still 2-2. I think even our top league person who was 3-0 this week lost. So, top league
yes,
person's 3-1. We're all still in it. It's all good. Still
yeah.
early.
I'm 3-1 too, baby. I started off 0-1. I've won 3 straight now,
Oh
so it's nice
shoot!
to see. Yeah, yeah. All right, taking it out of the professional ranks, even the fantasy ones. Keeping it with football, we're going to move on to college football. A couple of notes this weekend, then we'll kind of go over the Pac 12. Let's start outside of the Pac 12 and just kind of cover a couple other ranked games that happened. Notre Dame went to Duke, and Ole Miss beat LSU. So Notre Dame wins 21-14. Another close game for the Irish. They're on the good side this time for them, at least. Last time they lost to Ohio State last week at the last second. But they did go to a basketball school. No matter how many signs they make that say Duke is a football school, it's not. So I don't know what you make of the win. They're ranked technically, and it was on the road. So good for Notre Dame, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about, they're not in a conference, so every game they can win against a ranked opponent is good, but only winning by a touchdown does not make it that much better.
And not Duke, number 17 either,
No.
regardless of whether or not it's on the road. And losing to Ohio State, obviously, I just think any loss, unless everybody has a loss, I think any loss means you're not in the college football playoffs. So they're just rooting for a high, or shooting for a high bowl game this year.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. The other one that was not we didn't talk about much last week, but kind of mentioned it was the fact that Ole Miss was able to go down and beat LSU. A lot of offense. Which this is the Ole Miss team I thought was going to show up against Alabama. Last week when we talked about they could upset Alabama, I was like, yeah, for sure they totally could. And then they didn't show up and score like more than 14 points. So showed back up this week and took care of LSU. LSU now, if they're at 13 then and they lost to Ole Miss, there's no way they're going to be in a college football playoff either. So just more and more teams kind of knocking themselves out of that top 4 opportunity by continue losing when you're already ranked in the teens.
And man, what another really big ranked, what is that? SEC school. Something the SEC, they were so dominant at football, but now that NIL's out, I don't know. They just seem to be losing more. Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
Isn't that
Georgia's the only
weird?
one that keeps winning. Everyone else seems to not be as good as they used to be.
Maybe Georgia's the only legit recruiter.
Hey, it would make sense. They're back-to-back titles, man. They are coming back for a third too. They look good. So
Yeah, they look good. They look good. They look really good. We'll keep it back. We'll keep it there, but we're gonna move to the Pac-12 now. It's our favorite league. It's our hometown one. It's the last time we get to really talk about it. So.
Yeah, I'll say this is it, man. We did the podcast at the right time. We get to go with the last year of the Pac-12 and watch it burn down to the ground. Unfortunately.
Sad but true. Sad but true. A handful of ranked teams, obviously in the Pac-12, so a lot of ranked games this weekend. The most notable was Utah, Colorado, or USC, Colorado. Apologies, but rank wise, Utah, Oregon State, both ranked top 25. Utah went to Oregon State, and like you called it, they said there's something about that. I forgot what you said. The field was called. But they took it 21-7 over the number 10 Utah. So.
Utah struggled against UCLA and only scored 14 and won 14-7. I just didn't think that they were going to be able to travel to Corvallis and have the same opportunity. Oregon State was already ranked on their own, so I figured, okay, they're legit and they're at home. I feel like they had an opportunity to take it, and now we see again another team knocking themselves out. Utah's now going to be below the top 10, and there's no way that they're going to have an opportunity to make it into the college football playoff.
No. Yeah, when you were telling me that, I was like, I don't even know what that means or like what are you, or that it was an advantage, but nice, man. That's great. It's of course sad to see a higher seed fall. I'm always rooting for just the highest seed, not necessarily because I like the team, but again, because the higher the seed that wins, the more they go up in the standings, and we really want as many Pac-12 teams, but at least one Pac-12 team up there, obviously. So, but I still think Oregon, Washington, and USC have a chance. USC did go to Colorado. They won 48-41, but it was closer than not closer than closer again. So kind of a weird how this played out. USC escaped though, right?
Yeah, for sure. Caleb had a great game, 6 touchdowns. He had the one interception in the second half, which it was weird. They had such a good first half and we're up, I think, 48-27 at one point in the third. And you figure, okay, this is, SC's going to get the ball back. They're going to probably run the clock, and then Colorado might get a field goal, maybe one more touchdown before this is over. But then Colorado defense all of a sudden figured something out, and it looked like SC kind of got lost. Like I said, Caleb had the one interception, but even then, he didn't look great in the fourth quarter. Gave Colorado an opportunity, and Shador looked great on offense and just led Colorado with an opportunity to even have a chance. Got him back within a touchdown. Had the ball, I think, under 5 minutes. Wasn't able to convert and get down the field very far. Had to give it back, and then, clock going out from there. But the biggest issue is if you're SC, because the last 2 weeks you've won a game against a ranked opponent. Well, Colorado had just gotten taken out of it, but a good opponent from the Pac-12, and you went down in the standings because you're not winning by enough. Your defense is that bad that by winning by a touchdown, you dropped a spot in the rankings.
Honestly, the game looked pretty bad in the second half. The way that USC is playing makes me nervous that the local team isn't going to be able to beat the teams from up north, because Oregon and Washington, the way that Oregon handled Colorado, I get they were at home, blah, 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 right? But I mean, is Colorado that big of a home field advantage? At least not that I've heard of. I guess every home field is an advantage, but still, if you're the better team, you take it to them. And by them barely escaping, I'm curious to see what that means for when they play these teams, Oregon and Washington. So I hope the better team wins because I want the better team to represent the Pac-12. I just hope that better team is USC because I'd love to see the SoCal team represent.
Yeah, absolutely. It sucks because I think Caleb has more touchdowns now at this point than he did last year and less interceptions. And the team, he could win like another Heisman, and it's possible they might not even make it to the college football playoff or even a Pac-12 title game, depending on how it all kind of shakes out here in the last half of the season.
Okay, they need to make it to the Pac-12 title game.
Well, I
agree with what you're saying because they could have a couple losses and be knocked out of the division lead. I believe it's split north and south, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So they'd be knocked out of the South. I don't know who in the South is doing better right now, to be honest with you.
No, it seems like I guess Utah would be the only one because everybody else
is Utah. Damn, Utah's with us. Oh shoot. Yeah. Okay. So as long as we beat them, we'll at least win. But it's really seems to be between Oregon and Washington. That's going to be the battle of the Pac-12 North. That's going to be pretty interesting. So.
That's true. That's going to be a lot of fun. But I like you said, as long as one of them gets in there, we just want one of them to get there and get an opportunity. But Washington's looks really good because every game they win, just like Oregon, they win big. They win by a lot of points. They take care of business. Good. They don't give up very many points on defense. So Washington and Oregon might ultimately be the winner and who goes into the college football playoff to represent the Pac-12 this year.
That's fine. If I have to root them on, I'll root them on. But again, until we fall, fight on.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Washington, of all the teams, wins the college football playoff in the last year of the Pac-12 existence?
True, not even like Oregon. Like I could see Oregon, SC, Oregon, yeah. No. We do have updated rankings, though. Again, for the YouTube audience, you'll see it on the screen. For those not, go check us out on YouTube. I make this. It looks pretty. Check it out. Cool background. We got Washington 7, Oregon 8, SC 9, Wazoo or Washington State 13, Oregon State 15, and Utah drops to 18 after the loss. Still got 6 up there. Was 8 a couple weeks ago, but that's okay. Still staying pretty strong.
Yep. Hey, I
really need the top 3 teams to keep climbing.
Random question here for you, because I'm just looking at this logo and it reminded me of it. Did you know that the Washington State logo is WSU? If you look at it.
I can see the W and the S. I think you've either told me that before or I saw it before. But I mean, the U is kind of small, right? The bottom of the mouth kind of thing.
Exactly. They have the letters WSU in the logo itself. It's actually kind of hidden.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty sweet.
The name's kind of cool too, Wazoo.
Right? That's a cool nickname.
It's way better than Washington State.
Yeah. Well, they're going to be in the Pac-2 with Oregon State next year. You can do whatever they want. Maybe come up with a way cooler name than Pacific 2.
True. Wait, what are they? The Cougars?
Yeah, Washington State Cougars.
The Cougars and the Beavers. Don't put those two together. Let's take it out of the field and onto the court. We covered a trade last episode. Obviously, some crazy stuff went down. Damian Lillard to the freaking Bucks. But after Jrue Holiday got sent to Portland, Portland was looking to move him. And they have. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I really don't know how to feel about this trade, but I
Yeah,
know that Jrue Holiday is really good. The Celtics have traded for Jrue Holiday.
yeah.
They gave
As
up Malcolm
a
Brogdon. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
They gave up Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, a 2024 first that they acquired from Golden State, and their own 2029 first round pick. Got Jrue Holiday back.
Man, Portland made out again. They totally did great in the whole Dame Lillard overall trade with the two, including Holiday. It's weird. We talked about Holiday getting swapped, but we didn't even mention Boston as as a team that would be taking the opportunity to get him when we talked
Because I
about
didn't
it.
want him to go.
Yeah, well,
I
there's
didn't want
that
him to
part.
go, man.
But it's
Yeah,
weird. I'm looking at Boston. I don't understand what they're thinking though, as
me
far as
either.
their roster, because they gave up Robert Williams, Time Lord,
That's the bomb.
and they gave up their defensive prowess on the inside, and now they're going to rely on Kristaps Porzingis, who doesn't play defense and is very, very fragile, as we've seen in his past.
He's long and he tries on defense. I'll
Okay,
give it
but
to you. He's not Robert Williams. I would
and he
take
doesn't have any.
defensively 10 times out of 10.
He doesn't have any strength. Embiid's gonna beat him up in the paint. Like there's no
And that's
opportunity
the
to
key.
stop him there. Giannis
Giannis,
is
too,
gonna beat him up. Yeah, exactly. So I don't quite
which is their
understand.
only competition. Even Bam, dude.
Yeah, thank you, Bam as well. Because if you don't have Kristaps at center, then you're playing 37-year-old Al Horford. Like how do you think both of those guys are gonna survive a whole season like that? There's no way. No matter how good your defense is at the top with now, having Jrue Holiday there, but like I don't know. I just don't understand what Boston's doing. It kind of confuses me, but if I'm a Laker fan, that's okay. I hope they don't win, and that's good. So it's
Yeah.
all good in my book.
I like the reason why I'm nervous is because I know Drew Holiday is good. And I know that he's basically an upgraded Malcolm Brogdon that doesn't get hurt.
True.
So, but to your point, the picks don't mean shit. Who cares? They gave up picks.
Yeah.
Who cares? Nobody cares about picks, really. I mean, especially when you have established stars that are this young. So they gave up some picks. Who cares? But the big piece, like you said, Time Lord, is really losing Robert Williams. I get that he's hurt a lot, but he completely changes that team when he's in the lineup. Completely. They are, I wouldn't say unstoppable, but damn near. And
No.
it's
Yeah. Well,
kind of scary.
it's a
So I agree with that part, but they did get really good in the ball handling position. They're just going to be weak down low. The only problem is now, granted, maybe not super talent, but they could find a filler by somebody who lets go or something like that. And they could
true.
maybe go get a big body. But again, it's not the talent that Robert Williams kind of brought to the table. So
No, absolutely
it's
not.
kind of weird to see.
It's a weird
But
one. Like I said, as a Laker fan, I hope it doesn't work for them and they don't make the playoffs even. But I think without all that size to play defense in the post, it's just going to change everything in the way that teams attack them on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't know. We'll see what they can do with it.
do you think Robert Williams gets moved, or do they? I mean, they already have DeAndre Ayton.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Maybe they do because you can't play both of them. They're the same player essentially. I mean, Williams is a little more active on defense, but
Yeah,
there's got to be somebody that maybe like if you're Portland, you can flip him again to somewhere else, I guess, and get some more picks, or even if it's not a first rounder, because I don't know if you get a first rounder for him, but at least something, a couple second rounders, and maybe some rights to somebody else that's already been drafted. But the two teams that like first jump out to me would be like OKC or Dallas. I feel like both teams like. I feel like OKC is going to be really good
oh,
this year with Gilgeous
they are,
Alexander.
dude,
Chet
and they have
Holmgren's
really good
playing
guards
this
and
year.
wings.
Exactly. Chet
But Chet's
Holmgren's
small.
playing.
To your point,
Yes, but if you can get Williams to be the defensive anchor in the post and then have Chet Holmgren be able to roam, and then you have Giddy and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Lou Dort, like that would be a really
dude, they're
interesting.
stacked. They're talented. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, all those
that's a
years that
good
they've
one.
been
I actually
piling up draft
really
picks.
like that. Yeah, I really like that. And maybe they do just give one. Who cares? Just one first round.
That's
They
true.
got like 15.
They got a ton of them. Give up one and some whatever the contract you need to get it to match. I don't know who would be off the top of my head. I don't know their roster besides the top
Me
guys we
either.
talked about. But I'm sure
Right,
they
but they're
could
not
throw a
trading
couple young
those.
guys in there because
Yeah.
Williams isn't making like god awful money, so you wouldn't have to give
Was
up
it
a
like
ton.
11? I think you saw yesterday.
Yeah, so that's not that big a deal. Which
No,
the other
that's not
one,
hard to make up.
the other team that made, like I said, was Dallas, just because Dwight Powell is their center, but he's not. He
Yeah,
roams and can actually shoot from the outside, and Robert Williams can't. So you could almost use him as a stretch four and
he's an
have
offensive
Williams,
center.
yeah, and then Williams could be your five, and then help them defensively because they are not good defensively. That has been the biggest issue with the Mavericks, especially because you have Luka and Kyrie at the top who don't play individual defense that well. Although Luka has come into camp and looking slim, so maybe we'll see a different Luka on that side of the ball this year. Who knows?
I doubt it. But I do like the move. I do like the move because, to your point, I feel like Dwight Powell is kind of like the pick and roll guy, the lob threat, not like DeAndre uh, Jordan lob threat
No,
in his
yeah,
prime, but just like somebody you have to be careful because Luka could get creative and toss it up for a nice easy layup or a little putback. So yeah, but on defense he is a liability for sure. So
yeah,
that would be really good, and it gives them that anchor in the back. They still need some guard defense, but that's actually
yeah.
pretty good. I like that.
That is their biggest problem is guard defense for sure.
It only gets worse when you sign Kyrie to the
Right?
extension. So that's on them.
But the best part about this all now is that NBA teams have had media day over the last couple of days. We're getting closer to the NBA season. Preseason's just around the corner. I'm actually working. Well, I found out I'm not working a Laker game anymore because they're not having merch sent to the arena. But maybe we'll try to get
Oh,
tickets and go. But
yes.
but yeah, no, it's media days have come and gone now. The Lakers are back in it. I'm just excited to get the season started, man.
Me too. Got a couple shots from Media Day from the Lakers website posted up. It's good to see some of the old guys coming back and looking healthy, looking ready for this season. Good to see some of the new guys in here. Some faces I kind of forgot about just because after we hit that peak and then we just like that long lull of the off season as we work through the end of baseball and get started on football, it stays kind of quiet in the background. And now the media day is here, and like you said, the preseason's upcoming. It's nice to see the purple and gold back again. I am stoked for the season, bro. All we need, all anybody needs, I guess, is health, bro, because I think that we
Yep.
are very talented. I love this. I love this squad. I love the team that they put together. I like the players individually. I like them collectively as a unit. The coaching staff is great. Just keeping Braun and AD healthy is going to be the key. I'm really hoping Austin Reeves just steps up like crazy this year, too. I'm excited to see his jump.
Yeah, the other one I'm excited to see is Rui Hachimura too, because we talked about it. How there's been reports that Rob Pelinka said that all summer Rui's basically been his understudy of LeBron and just following him and training with him every day. So if he's learning anything from LeBron and he's learning some stuff from Phil Handy as well, who helped him a lot when he got here last year before the trade deadline, I think Rui's in line for a big year, and it'll help, especially on those nights where either AD or LeBron are taking a night off, or even if they're both out, where there's more people that
Mm-hmm.
can still score and have some opportunities. I think if AD's out, you go more with the Jackson Hayes so he can play some defense and kind of, muck it up in the paint a little bit.
Yep, get them boards.
Yeah, but if you want to, if on the offensive side, if he's not doing anything, then you can maybe even bring Torian Prince as a small stretch four or Ruri really, and then Torian at the three. There's so many opportunities.
Don't
I mean, I didn't
forget we
even
got
mention.
Christian
I was
Wood, bro.
just gonna say I didn't even mention Christian Wood. I didn't mention Gabe Vincent. Like there's a lot of team players on this team that normally in the regular season you want to go like 10 or 11 deep, which with having to rest guys with LeBron and AD, like we mentioned, I think you even have to go 12 deep. So as long as these guys all can just kind of take their moments and chunk of minutes when they're allowed it and based on who's healthy and in and out, I think they can be right there in the top four of the Western Conference and have an opportunity to, make it to the finals.
Fingers crossed, my friend. Fingers crossed. All we need again is health because I think we match up well with anybody. I think we can play big. I think we can play small.
Yep.
I'm excited, dude. I'm excited. Only I think like less than a month now, right?
Yeah, I think opening night is like October 19th for some reason, or I want to say 19th, 20th, something like that.
Stoked, bro. Stoked. As we get to their opening night, we're moving in towards the end, actually, of the WNBA season. The
Heck yeah.
finals are set. Honestly, it should have been these two teams. What should have
Yes.
happened after the season is they should have just let everybody else go home
Yep.
and then just played this game out because this is who it should have been all season long. New York Liberty taking on the Vegas Aces.
Yep. Couldn't be more excited for this, dude. The Aces are the defending champs. Asia Wilson is the defending MVP and the finals MVP. The Liberty I'm a huge Sabrina Nescu fan, so I'm a Liberty fan, low key. Went and saw them play against the Sparks last year. She's just awesome and love to watch her play. So I'm really excited. They brought in Brianna Stewart to add to her. With this team, she's already got 2 MVPs and 2 titles of her own. And then they also brought in Courtney Vandersloot, the 3-point specialist from Chicago, who won a title with the Sky. So the Liberty have just been, and these two teams when they play each other, both teams have won the home game, so they're 2-2 against each other. This is a best of 5 series. I expect it to go 5 games. I
Who's
expect
got
it.
number 1 seed?
The Vegas Aces are the number 1 team. They have, I think, a 2-game lead on the standings. So
Let's go.
It's going to be a heck of a series. Like I said, I expect it to go 4 games or 5 games. Kelsey Plume and Asia Wilson and them, Chelsea Gray, they're the defending champs, and they know what they're doing. They're there to defend, and they've kind of gone back and forth a little bit in their other matchups during the season. So should be some good shit talking as the series goes on, and I expect a lot of fireworks. And I'm excited for the first game on Sunday.
Go Aces. You already know I like dynasties, as I've stated before. I also like Kelsey Plum. Sorry, Mr. Waller. I mean, no disrespect. It's honestly more of a compliment.
Oh, yeah.
Is it hot in here? They have reigning MVP Asia Wilson and have a stacked team with experience. Plus, the West Coast is the best coast, and anytime I get to root against New York, I do. So, go Aces. That's all I got to say.
And you talked about going for dynasties and rooting for dynasties. The Aces, if they can win back to back, they join like a small list of that opportunity. There's only been a couple teams. The Houston Comets, which the first 4 years the league existed, they won the title. They went 114 and 26 in 4 years, which is just
so they just had all the players, and then they just got random people in the street to play every week.
Teresa Witherspoon was a big part of it. She was pretty good. So, and then after that four-peat, the Sparks with Lisa Leslie, they won back-to-back. So the first 6 years was only 2 teams to win the title. And since then, there has not been a repeat champion. There's been a couple like 2 and 3 years. The Phoenix Mercury, Detroit Shock, and Seattle Storm have done that a couple times. The Minnesota Lynx, actually, this is the crazy one to me. They won 4 and 7, but they went to the finals 6 times. So 4 and 2 and 6 finals in 7 years. That's a pretty good run. But nobody else has won back-to-back besides the Sparks and the Comets. So the Aces are going to, join some big company here if they're able to knock off the Liberty.
Well, I'm hoping they do. It's obviously good to start at home and finish at home. And if everything holds true, this should go 5.
Yep.
And anything can happen in a game 7-5. The two best words in sports. Game 5. Oh, wait. But I think it should be good. We haven't talked about it too much. We'll definitely try to cover it again a little bit more next season. But it was kind of already in the thick of it. And it was really a runaway all season. Those two teams were miles above everybody else.
Yep, absolutely.
I know a friend actually that I work with who follows this league very closely, legitimately, because I know a lot of people say that they watch it, but no, she legitimately does. And she is super stoked for this. She knows that these two teams are the best. She's actually kind of nervous, though. Not for the series, but for what she thinks the WNBA might turning into. She's hoping they're not in the era of trying to create super teams.
Like the NBA, yep.
Right. So that's the only thing, because obviously these two teams are stacked and the other teams are like not close. It's just these two. So, she's a little nervous about that idea, but in general, I think it's good because dominance brings attention. And now that's what they need more than parity.
Yeah, absolutely. You want everybody as many eyes as you can. I know the last couple of years there's been more people watching it. It's on ESPN all the time. It's on ABC Sunday afternoon, like an NBA game would be, which is what the WNBA Finals game 1, I believe, is Sunday at noon, I think, on ABC. So they're pushing it. Like I said, I'm just a huge basketball fan in general. I watch college basketball, high school basketball. I don't care. I just watch basketball. So I love the game. Like I said, I'm a huge NSQ fan, so I'm rooting for the Liberty, but I mean, also Joe Tsai, who owns the Liberty, owns the San Diego Seals, who I'm a huge fan of down in San Diego with the NLL indoor lacrosse team. So maybe he could have like a Stan Kroenke run where all the teams he owns wins a bunch of titles in a run in a couple of years, because I'd love to get a NLL title down in San Diego soon.
That'd be pretty cool. Keeping it, though, in the postseason, moving to baseball. Everything is set now.
We've
got all the matchups. Playoff bracket is up. And if it's on the screen, you should see it here on YouTube. If you're listening on our podcast, search Our View from the Bench on YouTube. So you can check this all out. You don't have to look at it yourself. Matchups are set for both the American League and the National League. The wildcard round consists of the Twins hosting the Blue Jays, the Rays hosting the Rangers on the American League side, National League, who you got?
National League, which one of us or both of us are gonna be really excited about this one matchup, is we have the Milwaukee Brewers hosting our Arizona Diamondbacks. Woo! We made it. We made
Woo!
it in.
Let's go.
The other
Hence why I'm
matchup,
rocking the jersey
heck
today.
yeah, the old school one. I love it.
Like that.
The other teams we got matched up is the actually the defending NL champion Philadelphia Phillies, who are a wild card team this year, and they're going to be hosting the Miami Marlins, who I believe this is the fourth time they've made the playoffs in their existence. So nice to see them back in it.
I saw something today that it's the first time that they've made the playoffs in a full season since 2003.
Yes, I was
Because they
just going to
made the
mention
2020
that.
shortened season.
Okay, I
Nice.
was gonna mention that because when my brother-in-law told me they finally clinched, I was like, oh, cool. That means every year they've made the playoffs, like they've won the World Series. And he was like, and then I found out no, they made it in the COVID shortened season. I was like, nah, I'm throwing that one out. So in a regular full baseball season, when the Marlins have made the playoffs in '97 and 2003, they won the title. So. And I would
Watch
be
out.
awesome because Skip Schumacher is the coach. I believe John Jay is their first base coach. So I love some of those guys because as they played in the MLB, I was a huge fan of those guys who played multiple positions. Skip Schumacher is awesome. So I'm really rooting for them to, ultimately win the whole thing if it's not going to be Arizona because we know I'm not rooting for the Dodgers.
No. Well, we did kind of go through and pick. Let's see if you picked them to move on. You didn't. All right. No, so you have the Marlins losing to the. Well, just because you hope that they win doesn't mean you think they're going to win. You're just trying to pick the bracket the best you can.
Exactly.
So tell me who you got moving on for each of and maybe a little bit about why.
So as we mentioned, I have Philly beating Miami, which I just think that Philly's coming back from the defending NL champs and lost the World Series last year, and they're just got a sour taste in their mouth, and I feel like they're ready to go and want to actually make another run at it. And I mean, I think they kind of can. They have enough pitching with Wheeler and Nola, so and if they're hot and the offense can keep going, I think they have an opportunity to take this series quickly. Obviously, when it comes to Arizona, Milwaukee, I win Diamondbacks. I think that it'll go 3 games, especially after what we talked about last night when we were prepping, that Brandon Pabst is going to actually be pitching game 1 because of the way the rotation ended the season. So that way we have Gallen, who's the ace, and Merrill Kelly, who's the B pitcher, going the second and third game instead of game 1 and 2. So I think we could lose game 1 because the young kid's going to probably get beat up by Milwaukee. They're a pretty good offense, I believe top 25 or top 15 on the average side. So they can get the ball in play, and if they can against the young kid, I think he might get rattled. And it's all 3 games are in Milwaukee, so you're gonna have to win a game on the road, or 2 of them, I should say.
2,
and, Corbin Carroll is going to win Rookie of the Year. Christian Walker has 30 home runs and 100 plus RBIs. Diamondbacks have the top defense when it comes to fielding percentage in baseball, so I think they have an opportunity. Unfortunately, if they do, that means we got to go play the Dodgers, but we'll worry about that later.
That's for another time. Yeah. That's for another time.
But on the American side, I have Tampa Bay Rays taking care of Texas. I know earlier when we first started the podcast, I talked about Texas winning and getting to the World Series, but they struggled and fell apart and kind of gave the division away to Houston here in the last couple of days. And I feel like maybe their pitching is not as good with no Scherzer and no DeGrom and the injuries they've had. And Tampa's been, top 5 offense, top 5 pitching basically all season. I know Baltimore ultimately got past them for the division, but I think Tampa is good enough and has been in the playoffs the last, I believe this is their 5th straight year, and they were just in the World Series a couple of years ago. So I think they continue on and ultimately have to face the division winning Orioles when it's all said and done.
All right.
And then
the last one.
The last one, which I kind of went back and forth on, both teams are very similar. If you look at their team rankings like ERA, batting average, OPS, it's all within 13th and 15th, 16th and 17th. Like they're the same teams essentially. So I went with Minnesota to win just because they're at home. I think that'll be a big part of it. I think that Toronto has a lot of young players. They, Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., they've been in the playoffs before, so I wouldn't be shocked if they won the series. But I think the pitching is just a little bit better on the Minnesota side, and having that home field advantage will come in huge, and I think they can possibly win it in 3 games.
All right. Moving on to my side. I've got similar teams, but we're a little bit different. I'll make it quick here. Phillies, reigning NL champs. It kind of makes sense that they move on. They have a complete team, being at the top of the majors in most of the hitting categories. They're above average on the mound. It seems like destined that it would be, these teams. It's between them, I feel, and the 2 teams who have a bye already, the Braves and the Dodgers. So I think these are the 3 best teams in the National League, and we'll see how it goes after this one. Still, of course, with you taking the Diamondbacks as a homer. I do think the teams are pretty evenly matched. We play good defense. It can hit a little bit better than them. They have kind of outstanding pitching, but struggle sometimes to hit and are well below average in a lot of the major hitting categories like batting average and OPS. Hopefully, we can pull it out and just kind of like outswing them, and then just pray that we don't get swept by the Dodgers.
Yeah, God, yes, please.
Sticking with you though with the Rays. Both teams are really good. Both teams are top 3 in batting average, top 5 in OPS. The Rangers are ahead in both, so it's going to be a battle. But I think that the benefit that the Rays have is with their pitching. It's a little bit better. 5th in team ERA, 1st in walks and hits per innings pitched, or WHIP. So I say they move on. Plus, again, they're at home. The one where I don't side with you, though, is this one. I think Toronto's actually going to pull it off. I say they steal the first one just with their batting prowess alone. And then they probably lose 2 and then take it in 3. They got a high-powered offense, being nearly top 10 in all the prime hitting categories, and they can score in chunks. Obviously, they got some sluggers. So, only thing against them is that they're all in Minnesota. So that's pretty much it. And to your point, home field helps a little bit, but that's kind of where we're at.
All right, well, not too bad. We got 3 out of 4 the same, but like I said, I wouldn't even be that shocked if Toronto were to win that series. Like I said, they're very evenly ranked on a lot of stats. I went back and forth on that one. I think more than any of the other 3 matchups. It was a back and forth thing, but I think just like I said, home field in the long run, I think is where Minnesota gets it.
All right. We'll keep these brackets and update our predictions as we continue to go through. Put a little check marks or little X's where we get it wrong, and continue predictions until we get all the way to the World Series. So make sure you guys stay tuned. That's pretty much it, though, for the rundown. We do have, of course, though, the segment.
We are
what time
here.
Is it?
It is time for MILF Monday.
MILF Monday.
I cannot believe a fine woman like this produced a guy like Stifler. Dude! I took some MILF. What the hell is that? MILF.
Man, I love facts.
Yeah!
Hey guys, MILF Monday.
MILF Monday. Let's go, bro.
So
what thanks you have for me today?
We're going into baseball playoffs. You got the D-bag jersey on that we talked about, and
let's go, baby.
And really excited about this. So I just wanted to. I saw this stat last week. I don't know if you sent it to me or I saw it and sent it to our group one, but for the second time in the Wildcard era of baseball, so since '95 when they started doing that, this is only the second time that the teams with the 3 highest payrolls will all miss the postseason. So the 3 teams are the Mets, $343 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yankees, $279 million. And the Padres, $253 million. So the top 3 not making the playoffs this year, not even as a wild card. I mean, just not making it at all. Just goes to show you that, winning the offseason or the winter meetings and giving guys big 10-year contracts and crazy amount of money doesn't always mean you're going to win games when they're actually played. It comes to, team chemistry and like having a philosophy and what the organization is trying to do and build, not just give everybody a lot of money and hope that the best talent all can just, mesh together somehow.
Doesn't always work that way. Padres and Yankees finished 2 games above 500 at 82 and 80, and they're second and third. The number 1 spender, 13 games under 500, finishing 74 and 87.
Wow. Yeah. So good luck, Steve Cohen. I don't think Shohei Ohtani is coming to the Mets.
No, he said he wants to get away from losing baseball. There was only 4 teams worse than you this year. You paid the most money to everybody. Now, granted, you traded 2 of those people away, but still.
Yeah, which, by the way, speaking of Shohei and not knowing where he's going, did you see what the Angels did this afternoon as well?
No, what?
Oh, they fired Phil Nevin. He's not.
Oh, that, yeah. Yes, I did, so, yeah.
Just, I don't know what they expect.
Keeping the GM, else. I heard, right?
Yeah, he's got 1 year left on his deal, but it doesn't matter as long as Artie owns that team. He needs to sell that team and let it go, man. He just doesn't he just gets too involved. He's done deals behind his GM's back and then told him, like, oh, yeah, I signed, whoever, like Vernon Wells. That contract was terrible. And Gary Matthews Jr. and Pujols and Hamilton and C.J. Wilson. I can go on and on. It's just, I don't understand.
What about the current one we're sitting in a rut with right now?
Yeah.
Rendon.
Oh my god! And gave him a no trade clause. Why did he deserve a no trade clause? Who thought that was a
Because
good
he won a
idea?
World Series with another team, Corey. So
Ugh.
obviously we have to give him everything. That makes 0 sense. I mean, total sense.
Yeah, Artie Moreno needs to sell that team. It's the worst. I'm not even an Angel fan, but I absolutely hate the fact of what he's done because, I don't even want to go to games there anymore because I don't want him to get any money out of it and keep owning the team. I want him to get out of
Yeah.
there and like start to feel it. But maybe when Otani's gone and if they trade Trout in the offseason, maybe people will actually stop going to games next year and he'll
True.
have to actually think about it.
Yeah, it does seem kind of social though. So Orange County people just go to hang out. They're not really watching the game, so they still might go because it's just a bar that they go to. That's all. You guys going to go to the bar? Oh yeah, what bar? Oh, we'll go to the Angel Stadium. Wait, going? Yeah, there's a game tonight, so apparently I don't know.
There's a bar in right field. That's all that matters.
There's a bar, so we're gonna go to that. That's kind of what it feels like at some of those games, to be honest with you.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
But it was another successful episode.
Yeah. And if you want to go back and watch any of our other or listen to any other podcasts, please remember to find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube by searching Our View from the Bench.
Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at OurViewFTB. How's the rest of your week looking, man? Monday's done, but how's the rest look?
Crazy this week. Again, like I said, it's October, so this is my busy
Eating
time
up.
of year. So
Pulling down.
I am working in the last Ducks preseason game on Thursday night. I am working Friday because of getting ready for the upcoming season and getting all the merch and things ahead of time. So that's like a night shift that was thrown at me today. And then Saturday, actually, I think Brent and I are going to see. Who did I tell you earlier? I forgot his name now. I cannot think of who I'm talking about.
Oh, one of the Wayans brothers.
Marlon Wayans is actually performing in Irvine, so we're gonna go check him out. And
That'd
I
be
always
cool.
love going to a good comedy show. So, what about you, man?
That sounds fun.
Anything on the docket?
No, work like normal. Try to do more working out and stuff and keeping up the swim and the weights and all this kind of stuff. So feeling good doing that. But other than that, just a normal good old week of work. So
And now
get ready for the next podcast, of course.
Of course, and then get to watch October baseball starting tomorrow.
Let's go. Yeah, duh. I'm going to be rocking this jersey. I don't know if I should wear this one or the Serpientes one.
Oh, yeah.
But either way, I'm definitely going to be rocking one. Excited for the game tomorrow. Definitely watching that for sure.
Heck yeah, hopefully we can steal game one.
Fingers crossed. Well, thanks for dropping by, hanging out, and seeing things from our view from the bench. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.